We roll on into the third round of the Texas high school football playoffs, and the action is only heating up. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks presented by Visit Arlington, your guide to the Texas high school football weekend. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and happy Thanksgiving. We believe that Thanksgiving is the single best day of the year, and that's because we're right. It is the single best day of the year, so we hope you have a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving holiday. But there's still work to be done in the Texas high school football playoffs. 2 rounds down, including one of the most chaotic area rounds we have seen in a long, long time. We are through to the regional semifinals, and we've got games spanning from Thursday, yes, Thanksgiving Day action, all the way until Saturday, with games scattered all throughout the days. Remember that there are going to be games kicking off at noon on Friday because there's no school. So keep it on the schedule. You can find it at TexasFootball.com. And of course, I'm picking every single game. My picks are scrolling down here at the bottom of the screen. Giant action all over the state. We start in Houston. 4 o'clock Friday afternoon at NRG Stadium in Houston. It's a 6A Division I matchup between the Katy Tigers and the Galena Park North Shore Mustangs. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number 1, we meet again. And you may remember 13 weeks ago when these two teams locked horns in a nationally televised Thursday night opener, and Katy took home a resounding and impressive 24-21 win over the defending state champs. That's obviously a win that has springboarded Katy to an undefeated season so far. That's North Shore's 1 loss on the year. But I really don't think we can overstate how long ago that was. That was 13 weeks ago. More than 3 months have passed, and both of these teams have changed significantly. We'll get into that in just a moment. The other part of this is that this is the 4th time in about 450 days that these two programs are meeting. These two coaches, John Kay for North Shore and Gary Joseph for Katy, are intimately familiar with one another. Who can come up with those 1 or 2 wrinkles to make this game different? Key number 2, health. And I know that you can say that about literally every game ever played, but it has a very special meaning here in this game because both teams have superstars that are banged up. Katy running back Ronald Hoff was a huge part of Katy's win over North Shore in the opener, running for more than 200 yards and a score and really pacing the Tigers' offense. But he was nicked up in their by-district win over Fort Bend Ridgepoint and did not play last week against Cy-Fair. We do not know the status of Ronald Hoff, and obviously that would be a pretty big blow to the Tigers. For North Shore, we thought that they were going to get star wide receiver Shadrick Banks back. He missed the first matchup between North Shore and Katy, and many people believe that having him might have put North Shore over the top. He came back for a moment here in the season, but he is apparently out. Reports out of Galena Park is that he will not play in this matchup. So obviously there are big health concerns for both of these teams. Who steps up if these big-time stars miss the game? And key number 3, emptying the bag. So we mentioned these are 2 pretty good coaches, right? John Kay for North Shore and Gary Joseph for Katy know their way around a football game. And knowing that, they probably didn't do everything they possibly could in the opener, right? Kind of stands to reason that they probably saw the fact that they were going to meet this team again, and they don't want to give everything away in the game that really and truly non-district play doesn't matter, right? In fact, if you take a look at the game, Katy ran a pretty vanilla scheme, both offensively and defensively. And North Shore, they only gave star running back Zachary Evans 9 carries in that game. I mean, they were pretty vanilla in this game. This will not be the case here. Both of these coaches are going to come up with every single wrinkle, every single scheme, every single trick play, special teams opportunity that they can. You are going to see everything in this game knowing full well that this is win or go home. So, when both teams empty the bag of tricks, what happens? Who am I picking? I'm going with Galena Park North Shore. I think it's hard to beat a team twice, plain and simple. And right now, I feel like North Shore is playing better than they were in their opener. I feel like a lot of these youngsters have grown. We didn't even mention the name of Demetrius Davis, the junior quarterback for North Shore, who I think has been fantastic. Now, I think that if Katy's going to win this game, they're going to need a big game from Bronson McLean. He turned the ball over twice in their opener, although he did throw 2 touchdown passes. He has got to make sure he takes care of the football. If Ronald Hoff plays, that's obviously a huge advantage there for Katy. But I also think the North Shore defense has gotten healthier. Linebacker Corey Flagg is back and doing big things for the Mustangs. Like usual, I think this game is close. I think this game actually has a chance to play out pretty similarly to the way it did in the opener, a relatively low-scoring game, maybe in the mid-20s. But I think the score is reversed this time. I think North Shore brings home a win. To San Antonio we go, 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Rutledge Stadium in Converse. It is a 2A Division I slugfest between the Shiner Comanches and the Refugio Bobcats. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number 1, Refugio's front. And I know we do 3 keys, but this is the key. This is the whole ball game, in my opinion. You know what Shiner is going to do. Jason Herring at Refugio knows what Shiner is going to do. They're going to hand the ball to Doug Brooks, they're going to hand the ball to Danye Taylor, and they're going to run and run and run. This is what Shiner does. They are a grinding, powerful, physical running team. Well, Refugio faced a grinding, powerful, physical running team last week when they played Thorndale, and in that first half, Thorndale gashed them. Thorndale was running up and down the field on the Bobcats. Now, Refugio made some adjustments at halftime, and they shorted up, and they shut out Thorndale in the second half. But this is a better team than Thorndale coming to town. So, can Refugio's front hold up against this powerful Shiner running attack? Key number 2, Shiner versus the spread. I'm not talking about betting. Don't bet on high school football. That's bad. What I'm talking about is Shiner taking on the spread scheme that you're going to see from Jason Herring's squad. This Bobcats attack is really dynamic and high-powered. Quarterback Austin Ochoa has been great. Wide receiver Jordan Kelly is one of the most unguardable players in 2A. They've got Ysidro Moscoro, who does a little bit of everything. And while Shiner has had an unbelievable defense all year long, they haven't played a spread, I think, as dynamic as what they're going to see in this game. I think that this is the kind of team that is going to challenge the Shiner defense like they have not seen yet. So, when they face this offense, how does the Comanches defense step up? And key number 3, the second half. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say this game is not a blowout in either direction. I think this game figures to be close, at least at halftime, and that could be an advantage there for Refugio. You see, Shiner has beaten its opponents by an average of 49 points a game. They have just clobbered people. But when's the last time they played a competitive second half, right? 3 months ago when they played Hallettsville? It's been a minute. Meanwhile, Thorndale challenged Refugio in the second half, and Refugio had to scratch and claw against Mart in the midseason. They have been challenged in the second half. Shiner really hasn't. So, if this game is close in the second half, is that an advantage for Refugio, who's been there before? Who am I picking? I'm going with Shiner. I think that they have been the best team in 2A Division I this year. And I think that right now the running game that they've got with Doug Brooks and Danye Taylor, and not to mention all those other fantastic running backs in that big offensive line, I think that that is the advantage. And maybe I'm a little bit scared of what I saw in that first half for Refugio against Thorndale, but I wonder if they're going to have some success running the ball. Now, again, this offense for Refugio is really going to test Shiner. And I don't think that they are going to be able to shut down this Refugio attack because Austin Ochoa is so dynamic, and they've got Jason Herring at the helm, who's one of the very best coaches in the state of Texas. But I think that in the end, the physical nature of Shiner is going to win out in this one. I think the Comanches move on to the regional final. To 6A Division II we go, 3 p.m. Saturday at Memorial Stadium in Wichita Falls. Amarillo Tascosa takes on Flower Mound Marcus. And you hear the cliche about peaking at the right time. I think it's fair to say that both of these offenses are playing their best ball at this moment. Garrett Nussmeyer, the quarterback for Flower Mound Marcus, has hit a new gear here in the late season. He has been one of the very best players in the state. And by the way, on the other side, Joseph Plunk for Amarillo Tascosa is doing that thing again, where he's taking over this offense and making them extremely hard to stop. This game is very close to call. I will say, I think that Tascosa, the way that they run their flexbone attack, I'm not sure that Marcus has seen an offense quite like this. I'm pretty sure that Tascosa has seen an offense like Marcus's. So I wonder if that schematic advantage is going to be what puts Tascosa over the top. I like the Rebels. To 5A Division I we go, 3:30 p.m. Friday afternoon at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. The Frisco Lone Star Rangers take on the Highland Park Scots, and yeah, we've seen this before. You remember back in non-district play, Frisco Lone Star went on the road and ended Highland Park's very long home winning streak and did so with gusto. And you go back to that game and you say, why were they able to do that? Two things. One, the defense forced a bunch of turnovers. And two, they could not guard wide receiver Marvin Mims. Those are the same questions I have going forward because these teams have changed since then, but can those two aspects of it change? Can Highland Park and quarterback Chandler Morris be clean with the football and hold on to it? And have they found an answer for Marvin Mims, who torched them throughout the course of that game? It's very hard to beat a team twice. It's extremely hard to beat a legendary coach like Randy Allen twice. But I do think that Frisco Lone Star is special, and I think they're able to pull out the win. Give me the Rangers. To 5A Division II we go, 7 o'clock Friday night at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. The Aledo Bearcats take on the Red Oak Hawks, and here's a question. When's the last time Aledo was really pushed in a playoff game? Right? It's been a minute, you know? Bearcats have kind of steamrolled everybody they've faced in the postseason, basically dating back to their loss to College Station in the 2017 title game. Well, this is going to be a push because Red Oak can play. Their defense, with Coach Chris Ross at the helm, has been outstanding, and they have a number of big-time weapons, whether it's running back C.J. Palmer or it's their outstanding quarterback Josh Irvin. This team is dangerous, and Aledo needs to take them seriously. And for all we talk about the high-powered weapons that they have on this Aledo team, whether it's running back Jason McLean, who's back and healthy, whether it's JoJo Earl, whether it's Jake Bishop, I think this is a huge test for this Aledo defense, and I think they need to step up big. I think this game is close and could get hairy for the Bearcats. But in the end, pedigree wins out, and I think Aledo brings home a win. 4A Division I now, noon Saturday at San Antonio's Alamo Dome. It's a matchup between the Lampasas Badgers and the Needville Blue Jays, and it's a game near and dear to the Dave Campbell's Texas football crew's heart because these are two of our very favorite players in the state. Ace Wedhead, the quarterback for Lampasas, and Ashton Straddick, the running back for Needville. These two guys have been sensational, both semifinalists for the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year award, and I think they are going to put on a show. The question is going to be who can come up with stops. And right now, the defense that I trust more belongs to Lampasas. Their linebacker, Case Brister, has been fantastic. I think the Badgers come up with enough stops to come away with a win. Give me Lampasas. 4A Division II now, 7 o'clock Friday at Abilene's Anthony Field. It's a matchup of unbeatens as Lubbock Estacado takes on Midland Greenwood, and plenty of star power on the field here. Weston Wilbur for Midland Greenwood has been fantastic, not to mention their outstanding running back Trey Cross. And then on the other side, the Dobbins brothers for Lubbock Estacado with Jalon Dobbins and Jeremiah Dobbins have been unbelievable. But I actually think that this is going to be a pretty low-scoring game. I think that the defenses are going to be the dominant forces in this one. Two outstanding coaches on the sideline. I think are going to have both these teams well scouted. This game's really hard to call, but if you take a look at the data and you take a look, they do have a couple of common opponents. And if you value dominance, Greenwood has been the more dominant team as far as those common opponents are concerned. I think that's what gives the Rangers the edge. I think Greenwood advances to the regional final. 3A Division I now, 1 o'clock Friday afternoon at Waco ISD Stadium. It's a matchup between the Cameron Yo Yeomen and the defending state champs, Grandview Zebras. And I don't think we can overstate exactly how impressive what Cameron Yo did last week was. Taking on Dieball, a team that has been absolutely bullying people all year long and basically beating them at their own game. That defensive effort was truly impressive, and Braden Brashear, their quarterback, was on point all night long. Now, how does this defense go up against the multi-weapon offense there for the Zebras of Grandview? Quarterback Dane Yench has been fantastic. Tremaine Gillette, their running back, has been sensational as well. This game's very hard to call, and what I love about that is that this is a game between one of the great dynasties of 3A here in the previous part of this decade with Cameron Yo against what looks like a budding dynasty in Grandview. I think it's extremely hard to call. And before the playoffs, I picked Grandview to win the region, but Cameron Yo was so impressive last week that I think the Yeomen come away with a win. Give me Cameron Yo. To 3A Division II we go, 2 o'clock Friday afternoon at Corsicana's Tiger Stadium. The Gunter Tigers take on the Rogers Eagles, and this is a game rife with intrigue, most notably because the coach at Rogers, is the former Gunter offensive coordinator. Charlie Roten was the architect behind that high-powered Gunter attack that brought them to a state championship a few years ago, and now he's over at Rogers and he's doing the same thing. Quarterback Heath Schiller has been sensational all year long and feels like he's hitting another level. You know, Gunter do what Gunter do, right? They're going to run the ball with Peyton low. They're going to keep the ball on the ground and grind it out, and their defense has been sensational. I think the key in this one is who can play from in front. I think that these are two teams that need to play with a lead. Who can grab that lead early? In the end, look, Gunter has dominated this region for the past couple of years. I see no reason to change that. I think the Tigers come away with a very narrow but very fun win. 2A Division II now, 7 o'clock Friday night at Levelland's Lobo Stadium. The Vega Longhorns take on the Wink Wildcats. And let's take a moment to acknowledge what Wink has done. They were 1-3 to start the year and have now rattled off 8 consecutive wins and really have done it most convincingly. Running back Zach Rosas has hit another gear here in the late going, and they are a very difficult matchup. Going up against a Vega team that I think has flown under people's radar, but quarterback Carson Kirkland has been outstanding. I think this is a game that's going to be determined by pace. Who can push the pace? If Vega can go and get this game into the 30s and 40s, I think that's where they want this game to be. If the Vega offense shows up, that's going to be the difference. A big test for Wink's defense. I think in the end, Vega wins out. Give me the Longhorns. 6 o'clock Friday night in Borger, it's a 1A Division I regional final between the McLean Tigers and the White Deer Bucks. Remember, this is a rematch of a district game that McLean won 62-22, and the question is, can White Deer make up 40 points? Now, they've got a ton of playmakers. I think John Perryman is one of the very best players in the state. But for all we talk about McLean's offense, right, it's easy to get caught up in what Ben Crockett does when the ball is in his hands. I think the defense is what sets this team apart. I think this game is a little bit closer than the first one, but I think the result is the same. Give me McLean. And how about some Thanksgiving Day action? 7 o'clock Thursday night. Yes, Thursday night in Hico. It's a 1A Division II regional final between the Strawn Greyhounds and the Gordon Longhorns. This is a rematch of a district matchup that Gordon won 27-26, which tells you everything you need to know about how evenly matched these two teams are. But forget all that, right? Forget all that. This is one of the great rivalries in the state of Texas. These are two teams that first started playing in 1923. Now they're playing for a spot in a state semifinal. The names to know here are Hoss Rouse, who was a dynamic playmaker in the first time that Gordon pulled away with a win, and of course J.W. Montgomery for Strawn is the leader here. Look, this game I think is going to be tight again. I think this is going to come down to 1 or 2 wrinkles and probably turnovers. But in the end, Strawn has won 12 consecutive playoff games. I think they make it 13. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially the 2-time defending champs. I like the Greyhounds to pull away with a victory. But those are far from the only big games. In the regional semifinals of the Texas High School football playoffs, remember, my picks are scrolling down below. Let's get to the lightning round. In 6A Division I, Duncanville survives a scare from Arlington Martin. Rockwall stays hot with a win over Klein Oak. And Converse Judson beats Laredo United. 6A Division II now, I like Houston Strake Jesuits to keep the momentum going with a win over Side Creek. Austin Westlake takes down Weslaco East. And a very difficult game to call in Region 2. I like Spring Westfield over Hewitt Midway. 5A Division I now. I like Denton Ryan in a low-scoring slugfest over Abilene Cooper. Give me Alvin Shadow Creek to beat Richmond Foster for the second time this year. And I like San Antonio Wagner over San Antonio Harlan. 5A Division II now. Wichita Falls and Wichita Falls Ryder playing in a regional semifinal. I am super into it, but I think Ryder comes away with a win. Give me Bernie Champion over Sherilyn Pioneer. And Manville gets by Barbers Hill. 4A Division I now. In a battle of unbeatens, I like Decatur over Dumas. Give me Waco La Vega over Melissa. And talk about getting hot at the right time. I like Midlothian Heritage over Palestine. 4A Division II now. Will Gilmer over Waco Connolly be an upset? I'm going to take Gilmer over Waco Connolly. Give me West Orange Stark to beat Belleville. And Geronimo Navarro takes down Sinton. 3A Division I now. I like Bushland in a high-scoring affair over Brock. Give me Gladewater over Winsboro. And I like George West in a low-scoring affair over Hallettsville. Expect some fireworks in 3A Division II. I like Newton over Dangerfield. I like Poth over Ganado. And Canadian just barely over Cisco. In 2A Division I like Post over West Texas. Give me Crawford just barely over Valley View. And way down south, I like Joaquin over Groveton. To 2A Division II, Hamlin over Wheeler. Mart over Grapeland, and give me Flatonia to beat Fremont. And remember, we're in the regional finals of six-man football. In 1A Division I, I like Jonesboro over Nueces Canyon, and in 1A Division II in a battle of unbeatens, I like Jayton over Blackwell. And those are the picks. I once again picked every single game, and I promise you I got at least one of them right. So please let me know, what am I wrong about? Leave comments down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com, where you can find complete coverage of the 2019 Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the regional semifinals of the Texas High School Football Playoffs. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you.